This is a quick demo of how these ChatterBox devices can store messages on them optionally. Just to recap, what I'm building is communication devices that can securely communicate without having internet or anything like that. And they do it over the LoRa frequencies. So they're secure, they don't use Wi-Fi, there's no operating system on these devices. The way these are connected, any number of devices, well, currently up to 90, I may change that, but up to 90 devices can be part of a cluster. And if they're part of a cluster, and also these devices can be part of multiple clusters, but when there's a cluster, like this one, that's got my last name, it's called Calhoun. So all these are part of that cluster. And what that means is they are listening and communicating over the same frequency. Any other transmission related settings, that's part of the cluster. There's a symmetric key, 2 of them, that is shared across the cluster, so they all have that. So if one of them wants to broadcast a message to everything in the cluster, it would be encrypted with those, and these could all read it. So I've been working on the UI a little bit, and I'll continue to do that, but just to show you what this looks like. So you can see they've already got some messages stored from what I was doing a few minutes ago. And for instance, if this guy wants to send a broadcast message, I would choose secure broadcast, and then on the keyboard here I'll type something. Okay, so now once I say go, you'll see this is broadcasting, the other ones are receiving it. So as it's doing that, they are decrypting it, verifying the signature that it matches this device, and if it does, then you can see they're both showing it there at the bottom, the newest message. So one of them may choose it wants to reply to me, so if I touch that message, you can see it's going to do a reply to my device, and I will just pick some numbers there, and when I do this is a direct message. So the message will go out the frequency, but it's going to be encrypted using public and private keys of these 2 devices, so even other devices in the network can't read it. So when I do that, this sees the traffic coming across, but it's not going to be able to read it. And here I can see this device shows that it sent it out to Matt, and this device showing that it received it from that person. So the way I currently have it, they will store up to 100 messages, and you can scroll through them using the scroll bar at the top. It's optional. Maybe not everybody would want their messages to be stored on a device, and they would just be in memory then and go away when the device is turned off. The way that I'm storing them, though, is pretty secure. I kind of mentioned when a message goes out into the air, it's encrypted in the manner that I described. If a device is choosing to save it, and if the cluster allows, that would be a permission on the cluster. The cluster will be able to block devices from saving, but even if it allows it, each device may decide for itself it does or doesn't want to save. If it does want to save it, it gets saved on a FRAM chip, and it gets encrypted using a password on the device that's specific to that. So even other devices wouldn't be able to read a message from this guy once it's been stored. And if you take the FRAM chip out and try to read it yourself, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. And that would be encrypted with, if a person chooses to set a password on their device, everything is encrypted with that, including the messages that are broadcast or directly sent. So that's kind of how the on-device message storage can work. I'm going to be working on some other things relating to adding mesh capabilities, a whole bunch of other things that are going to be really interesting. I'm going to be rebuilding the messaging layer a little bit to support some advanced features. But like I said, there's no operating system, so no one can see your messages or whatever. And yeah, I'm also going to be working on making these a lot smaller. I'm not really worried about the size right now. When I got the software nailed down, I'm going to make it work on a pretty wide variety of hardware and shrink the size and cost way down. So that's what I'm looking at.